Your star doesn't shine if you don't stay on top of it. And that's what happened to me. I was lost, I was out of it, just looming. But something in my spirit woke back up. No new strategies, no new intel, nothing different, except a new gusto.
It's been a decade since I knew what being broke is. Been lifting out remorse, and I barely know what home is. If I fell, who would catch me? If I was down, who would grab me? Is that the truth, or you just trying to gas me? In the Hollywood Hills, I'm Los Angeles' Gatsby.
9 months ago, G-Eazy came back from a major hiatus with his track, Tulips and Roses, more or less recovering from a major burnout. I had never before understood why artists get burned out or go on a hiatus. I figured if you're doing what you love for a career, you should never get sick of it. But the truth is, success brings with it many tempting secondary opportunities, shadow missions. And through my success, I had inevitably stumbled into a career I didn't sign up for when I started all of this. And that was becoming a manager of talent. And with time, this managerial position had rendered me useless. This is something to guard against, no matter who you are or where you're at in life. There is a path for you that will lead you to the success of what you want to achieve right now. The pathway to getting there consists of only a handful of actions. So rather than doing 100 different things, it's more like you need to do 5 things over and over again for 5 years, and you'll get to the result you want to get to. Virtually everything else is a distraction. You have to stay on the path that is for you, regardless of the tempting secondary offers that show up as you follow it. Even though the repetition of that path is boring, and the temptations that show up on the side might seem really fun. 2024 will have its varied ambitions, no doubt. But in this video, I want to talk about what it would take to make this year effortless. Here's why boredom will lead to greatness. The first idea is this: you don't need a new strategy, you just need to not stop. There are 3 categories of people who consume content related to strategy. The first group of people, they struggle with discipline and execution. The second, they actually genuinely need new information, new strategy. But there's a very large third category of people who don't need new strategy. They just need to input more time. I've always had a number of business coaches and a business partner over the last few years who always brought up the next strategy to me. But the realization I came to this year is that I don't need to listen to anything related to new strategy. There's no need to change up anything when it comes to launching a new product or revamping the model of something that's already working. The biggest benefit I could get may just come from cleaning up the inessential and doubling down on what is already working. Here's a journaling exercise to take yourself through. Ask yourself, what in my life is already working? Would it be helpful for me if I just found the time to do it more? And now, what in my life is taking away from these essentials? When I answered this question for myself, I found that the biggest levers of my life came from the simplest parts of my day. It consisted of sleeping enough, running, lifting, eating well, coaching, a little bit of outreach every day, but nothing crazy. It was super simple stuff. And when I tried to add unneeded complexity to the system, stress, inefficiency, and lower margins were the result. In his book Essentialism, author Greg McKeown gives the example of a high-level executive who started to eliminate all the unnecessary parts of his work life. He was hesitant to do this at first because he didn't want to make less money or make his employers angry, but he decided to follow through on it. So anything where he did not feel he could make a meaningful contribution to, he just cut out. He first cut out conference calls where he only had to speak for 1 minute. He just stopped showing up to those. He would not show up to the weekly update meeting because he didn't care about what they had to say. And he was worried what people might think of him, but they actually respected him more for saying no to almost everything. His time became much more valuable. And as a result, he really was able to harness and double down on the efforts that he could make a meaningful contribution to. When it came time to, at the end of the year, check his performance, they found that his performance had gone through the roof. He got the largest bonus of his career by saying no to all of the inessential. In every domain of life, there is work, efforts, goals, but only a handful of actions that contribute to those things. And it is an ever-pressing consideration to keep the essentials at the forefront. It's here I want to take a quick pause to talk about my coaching program. If you followed me for any duration of time, perhaps you might know that I run a cohort-based mastermind for people who want to grow a YouTube channel. What's cool about my program is that I have always been very devoted to the essentials of YouTube, because when I started out and when I had my first breakout year, I didn't have a lot of equipment, and I didn't have a lot of time or resources to invest in really cinematic videos. So I had to double down on the bare essentials that got results. And the people in my cohorts who have ran with my ideas, they have continued to see growth both in terms of subscribers and also their monthly revenue. If you're curious to see what working with me directly might look like, there's a link in the description box that you can check out below. Principle 2, persistence reveals itself in the subsequent years of doing something. I'm now transitioning to my 3rd year of lifting. Okay, my 3rd year of tracking calories, progressive overload on my lifts, all of that. When I was new to all this, I was skinny fat, I was out of shape. And so any effort in the gym was very painful, but it was also very exciting. Every time I would run on the treadmill and I was out of breath, or if I added 5 pounds to the deadlift for that week, it felt like some meaningful part of my own Creed montage sequence. Every time I would run, I just felt great. But the truth is, the process of putting on muscle, it's very lengthy. I would say for most people who really get after it, it still takes 3 years. In a Creed movie, the montage sequence lasts 2 or 3 minutes and is powered through by a J. Cole song. But in real life, it's years of lifting, eating, cooking, running, drinking enough water, and then going to the bathroom to pee out that water. By the end of year 2, it really feels to me as if I've been doing the same things forever. But that's what makes this journey so beautiful. I have this strong intuition that year 3 is where everything is going to come together, and I'll finally look solidly impressive in terms of aesthetics. But that result will only come if I continue doing in year 3 what I did with such enthusiasm in year 1 or year 2. Can you have the gusto to continue an effort with just as much enthusiasm in your 3rd year of doing it as you did the first 2? Because if you can, something very worthwhile will manifest. But without it, you'll have stopped before the finish line. Principle 3, the 100-hour rule. The hard part about being an essentialist is that life starts to feel very repetitious. If there's only a handful of essential actions and you're doing them every single day, then as a result, every day starts to look the same and you can't really feel the passage of time because there's nothing in your experience of reality that grounds you to the present. You need novelty to help understand the passage of time. And it's something to be avoided to have every day look exactly the same because your life will just slip away. I think if you want a life of meaning, then it's important to have some degree of new experiences and variety. So you have to leave room for what I call tactical adventure. While still focusing very, very deeply on the essentials, leave just a little bit of room for novelty. What is tactical adventure? It's finding a new endeavor that is tangential to your main mission and giving yourself perhaps one day out of every week to work on the side quest. For me, this is represented by marathon running and skydiving. The truth is my biggest ambition this year is just to get in the best shape of my life, to look really, really aesthetic. It's a vain goal, but I've been lifting for a while now and I'm very close to the finish line. However, I do love running and the sense of progression that comes from marathon training. So this year, to maintain a sense of adventure and novelty, I'm going to be running just a few marathons, kicking off with the Mesa Marathon in Arizona in February of this year. And the second is skydiving, just because I think it looks just cool as fuck. There's a lot of research that indicates that if you work at a skill for 100 hours, you're already more proficient than 99.9% of the population at that thing. Now, my goal in life currently is to become the Tom Cruise of YouTube. And so this year, I'm simplifying my chase of that by attempting 100 solo skydives. This would be good enough for me to get my B license, which would allow me to do a jump out of a helicopter with a GoPro on, and I just think it would make for a great video. But once you deduce what the main mission is and the essential actions related to that, it might be helpful to put together just one side quest that powers your year so that life stays fresh and exciting. It's going to be an essentialist year, but with that essentialism, incredibly potent.